and welcome back to our podcast. Our podcast that is run by two ex-RJs. That's me and Santosh, my co-host. We try to bring you inspirational stories about folks who are doing such wonderful things with their life, right? Wonderful things beyond work and beyond the mundaneness of everyday life, right? And our podcast is aptly called Aashayein Beyond Work. And today, in our fifth episode, we'd like to introduce you to a man who's managed to actually do something which is like transform his karma into mission. His name is P. Venkatraman. He's a successful professional turned entrepreneur who now chases his passion for running and good health. Venkat, who's a founder of YouTooCanRun. This is an organization which is known to a lot of runners. This organization manages marathons and races across the country. And he's also the author of many books, including So Far to 5K. I love the title, Venkat, by the way. So Far to 5K and the Unstoppables. Now, today, though, he is with us for a very special reason. Venkat is also the founder and trainer at the Zipper Club, which is the only group of cardiac patients who regularly not only train, but also run half marathons. Now, isn't it a contrast? A cardiac patient, first of all, running, and that too running a half marathon. So I'd like to take no more time, but introduce you to Venkat, who's kindly consented to be with us. And Venkat, let's start by talking about the Zipper Club. What is it? What do you all do? I see you all running at various places in Mumbai, but tell us more about it.
Good. So, I underwent a bypass surgery in 2007, and I was running before that. I was always a health conscious person, and I ran my first half marathon within about 11 months. So people say, "Oh, you ran a half." No, I went to a cardiac rehab. A doctor contractor was my cardiologist. We did on the treadmill. We did all the right things to see that my heart is correct, and we trained properly and ran with medical supervision. So within 11 months, when I ran, it, of course, I was in front page of all newspapers all over the country. Times, every newspaper carried my photo in the front page that after bypass this guy runs. So a lot of people then wanted to run because a lot of people don't want to be treated as spoiled vegetables after a bypass procedure. They don't want to be like a broken cup that is stuck with araldite or something like that. So they all came to me, and that is how this entire group of people who have undergone bypass surgery formed together. I became their coach, and I started training them to run half marathons, 10K, mostly half marathons, so that they remain healthy, they remain fit, and they are useful members of society, which is what is important. No matter what your age, you shouldn't be a burden to anybody, but you should be serving society in some way. So that is what Zippers Club does. We run typically 4 events in a year. We train throughout the year 3 days a week, which is where you see us. We do running, we do strength training, we do flexibility, mobility. I try to make it fun. And we take part in events, and many, surprisingly, like for example, we had the BNP 12.5K run, which happened last week, Burli National Park. So two of my people got podium, which means they got medals to run fast. Yeah, yeah. So we are not like uh, you know suboptimal performers. We train well, we take care of our health, and we perform well, and we are useful members of society where the heart bypass or the heart condition is a blip that happened in our health, and no more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. But Venkat, as you say, right, cardiac patients who have undergone this surgery, and at the same time now they have gone into a phase where they are running and also marathons. But what is it that journey from a medical standpoint that one needs to undertake, and at the same time trying to be fit to run, that kind of a marathon? On these both
So,
fronts, what one needs to do?
right. So the body is a system of systems. Okay. So you have about 8 systems that make predominant systems. Okay. So one is the cardiovascular system where the heart is pumping, blood is going. One is the nutritional system where the blood takes glycogen. There's the neuromuscular where the muscles have to move and the bones have to support you. Then there is the, there's like this, there's the blood pressure, there's the lymphatic node system, which brings so all these systems are there. All these systems have to work well for anybody to run. When you run, it means that all these systems are doing their job well. Okay, that's what it means. Your heart, one of the systems, which is your heart, has had some blocks. And you had either an angioplasty or an angiography or whatever it is, correct? So you had that. Now, what we need to do is that we need to put it back. and see that after the repair, think of it like a vehicle. Your vehicle met with an accident, you repaired it. What would you do? You take it out for a slow speed. You would not immediately rush up to Lonavala. Correct? You take it to the speed, you do it under controlled condition, you take it for in the neighborhood, come back and take a look at it, again fix something, go in the neighborhood. So that is known as cardiac rehab. So what it involves is that it involves what is known as a cardiac telemetry. What is cardiac telemetry? You have an ECG where they put 8 nodes in your chest. You have a wireless thing that connects to a central monitor, and somebody there is monitoring your heart as you
Hmm.
exercise. You might
Hmm.
either be lifting weights or running a treadmill or doing some boating or doing some cycling, whatever exercise you want to do. And this is cardiac telemetry. Today, it has become sophisticated enough that you can wear something on a device and that gives an ECG accurate to anybody else in the remotely in the world. So cardiac
Wow.
rehab, which used to be earlier in location, has now
Hmm.
become again digital, like a
Hmm.
Zoom meeting that we are in now. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is what it has happened. So there's no reason for anybody not to do it. All you
Hmm.
need to do is that you got a electrical failure in your car or you got a mechanical failure in your car. You need to repair it. You need to see that. You need to take it for a few trial rounds, and then slowly see that it speeds up to Lonavala or whatever is your destination. So that is what it takes. And just because that one system has gone wrong doesn't mean that the other systems are not functioning. Brakes are still doing good, whatever, air
Yeah.
conditioner is still vent kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that is what it takes. And if you do it under a supervised doctor who knows exercise physiology and all that, then there is nothing wrong in doing this at all. Why should you be a burden to your family? Why should you be
Hmm.
a burden to society just because you had an engine failure at some point of time in your life?
True. Agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And Venkat, why the Zipper Club? That's a very it
Yeah.
attracts attention, of course, but why is it called Zipper Club?
So, for a long time, actually, I didn't have a name because I
Hmm.
said that if you have a name and if you have a T-shirt, then that visual name and branding, whatever that branding happens around that name, is actually detracting from the cause of the thing. But then everybody said, no, we have to have an identity, we have to be known, we should have a Twitter handle, we should have an Insta handle, all this happened. So for after 5, 6 years, we decided on a name. So I said the name has to say, everybody said Venkat Running Group or something like that, because everybody is like kind of idolizing me. I said, no, it has to be the cause. And the cause is zipper, because the zipper has got two terms. One is, when you undergo a chest open bypass surgery, they
Hmm.
stitch you back. And when they stitch you back, that metal wires and all the stitches looks like you got a zip on your sternum, which is your chest bone. So the one meaning of zipper is that. The second meaning of zipper is that though we are aged, though we have undergone a bypass surgery, we are zipping through life.
Hmm.
We are not
Wow.
given up.
Yeah. That's great.
So that's why the zipper club. It's a play on words.
Okay. Okay, so this zipper club, right? With the zipper club, as I say, typically you would have colleagues, people coming together who essentially would have a heart condition and probably definitely they've gone some angio or a bypass. But does it also provide apart from the running or the marathons? I'm sure it also provides a forum for like-minded people with issues to discuss kind of their own health issues and what's the way forward. Do you guys also have such meetings or forums? And maybe if you can share more about this.
Yes, we do that. The basic idea of any group is birds of the same feather flock together kind of thing,
Yeah, yeah.
and definitely within the group members who are there, we are always discussing. Every quarter we take medical test. I monitor everybody. Once a year we do an stress test, 2D echo. So all that is done. It is done as per medical standards.
Yeah.
The group is run as per medical standards.
Hmm.
So that is done. But lot of people, I mean, I have people who almost every week I receive one phone call or two phone call that says, "Am I speaking to Dr. Venkatraman?" And I said, "No, I'm not a doctor. I'm a chartered accountant." Because I use language, they think I'm a doctor. So yes, there is a discussion for him, and there are people all the time who follow me. They're in Sholapur. There's a professor in Chandigarh. There's a constable in Telangana. So everybody somehow finds my number, talks to me. More important, makes me talk to their wives.
Okay. Because
Because that
they
is the
take care of
principal
the health.
stakeholder.
Yeah.
And they tell them, "Tu bhi baat kar raha hai, talk to
Yeah.
him and get convinced," kind of thing. So yes,
Okay.
there is a forum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I need to ask you here is typically, I guess, the age group where Zipper Club is 50 plus, right? But in the current day situation with the work stress, the kind of lifestyles one has, essentially these kind of problems even start at much, much earlier stage. And then you come across so many such cases where the guy goes in the gym and he just collapses. he's driving and he's just, he gets a heart attack. So do you come across these youngsters cases like these? And I know it's stress, but what is your message with the kind of experience you've come across with so many people in your club?
So yes, heart disease is coming younger and younger. A lot of things are happening earlier. For women, they used to say that till the PMS, that is, till the menstrual cycle stops, they would have a natural protection because the testosterone used to be not very high, and the hormones used to fight the arteriosclerosis, blocking of the heart. But now even women are getting heart attacks even in 40s, 35s before they hit PMS, okay?
Mhm.
Which is even more alarming, actually. But that is
Yeah.
more alarming than a youngster getting it because the youngster had it coming because of his lifestyle kind of thing. So that is happening. That is because of the way we are eating, wrong food, wrong diet habits, not sleeping well, not recovering well. The cardiac, rhythm is gone for a toss. So many things, we are not leading good lives. There's a documentary called Blue Zone on Netflix, which is a fantastic thing. But we are not leading the lives that give us good health throughout our entire lifespan. And definitely youngsters are getting it. My own brother, I mean, I'm talking this is about 30 years back. He passed away at the age of 32 because of a cardiac arrest. You know, so it some portion hereditary, but a large portion is lifestyle. And if
Mhm.
they don't modify the lifestyle, then I'm sorry to say this, they have it coming.
Okay, so Venkat, the next question for you is, you mentioned about calls, you people reaching out to you from various parts of India, Telangana, Hyderabad, I'm very sure even North India. But what I understand is Zipper Club is essentially restricted to Mumbai. Or is it something that you also plan to maybe motivate and encourage people elsewhere, to start their own chapters as they maybe, and then, make it a pan-India movement? Is that the plan on cards?
We have been debating this. We have been asked many times, as far back as 10 years back. The question is that, see, everything requires a leader in the
Yeah,
local leader. There's to be somebody who's going to, first of all, the person has to be trained well, when in
yeah,
exercise. And after getting trained in exercise, you should not be somebody who pushes too much. It's very easy to become too athletic when you start running, which
yeah.
is not the purpose of Zippers Club.
Hmm.
The ecosystem of running wants you to be athletic. It wants you
Yeah,
to go and do Berlin. It wants you to go and do Kardungla or
yeah.
something like that,
Hmm.
something
Hmm.
this. But that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to do a 10K, 12K, 21K within Bombay, comfortable, enjoy life. In the evening, go back home as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment at our stage in life, not athleticism. So
Mm.
that is again a big thing. If we start chapters, then we should get it staffed by the right people. So therefore, today most of them are in virtual connect in some way or the other. And I always keep telling my job is not to make people fast. My job is to make people consistent and steady
Hmm.
because that is the long term benefit.
Hmm.
So people have to also vibe with that school of philosophy of this, and that is where the challenge is.
Hmm. So, taking from your, statement of being consistent and steady, Venkat, I mean, you've been consistent and steady with so many enterprises that you've come up with, and you've been a founder of so many organizations, right? What keeps you going, Venkat? Because our show is all about inspiring others, to do something. One is work, yeah, excel at work, but then, beyond work also, there's so much to excel in, right? So, a message from your end.
So, one should not ever forget the end purpose of why
Hmm.
you're doing, why you're existing, what are you doing, correct? I'll give two examples. It's called the bricklayer syndrome. The bricklayer building a church only sees him putting a brick every day. An executive doing work in a social organization will only see, reports being filed or swabs being taken or children being fed. They'll see activity, they'll not see the purpose behind
Hmm.
the activity, okay? So the bricklayer doesn't see the glorious church that he's building or the temple or whatever, okay? So he's doing. So for example, when Michel Kakade ran the Golden Quadrilateral and fantastic feat, first Indian, forget
Hmm.
woman, Indian, first male or female to run the Golden Quadrilateral 6,000 kilometers. And we wanted to publish a book, we wanted to make a documentary. She was hesitant. We went and sat down. I told her, you have to do this mission because you have to inspire people, this. So she said, Venkat, what did I do? I got up every day in the morning, I brushed my teeth, my physio did exercises, I wore my shoes and I ran. Okay, but so she saw the activity and forgot the purpose. So in the same way, people like us who are entrepreneurs, must ultimately find a purpose. And that purpose, the Japanese have a word for it, ikigai.
Mm.
That purpose must drive them. So for example, I do YouTooCanRun. Okay, I went for 2 days and I measured a course. For 2 nights, I did not sleep. 2 continuous nights. In 48 hours, I slept for about 4 hours. Okay, so why am I killing myself? Kind of thing. Sometimes you feel like that, no? So, but the purpose is that out of the 15,000 people who will run there, there'll be at least 3 or 4,000 people who are running it for the first time. Correct. And when they're running it for the first time, they will get a sense of accomplishment which you have enabled. Okay. So what I do is that when the race is coming and the slow people are coming, I make it a point to go to the finish line so that I don't forget my sense of purpose. It is to give this people a sense of accomplishment. The lady who's a housewife who's doing her first 5K, who has a mother-in-law who's not well, a husband who keeps traveling, 2 children in school, and still comes and trains and does 5K is more inspiring for me. And I want to connect with her. Okay, so my message is that find your sense of purpose and stay rooted to your sense of purpose.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
and that is what will make you keep going in life.
Yeah. Thank you
Why are you
so much.
doing this?
Thank you so much, Venkat. I
Thank
think
you.
this was just brilliant, and this was a brilliant ending. I wish that we did not have to end this podcast. I'm sure there's lots to speak, and we'll come back to you at some point in time. But for today, thank you so much for your valuable time and your guidance, and for doing such an amazing thing for people who think that they can't live normal life, but they're living life beyond normal, right? And that's all thanks to you and the Zipper Club. Santosh?
Yep. Thank you so much for this inspiration, motivation. And Venkat, I'm sure we'll share your contacts, your connects, so that I'm sure more people who listen to this podcast would love to be a part of the Zipper Club. So of course, you'll see that on the screen as we talk. But yes, once again, thank you so much for joining in on Aashayein Beyond Work from me, Santosh, Sirur, and Sujay.
Yeah, I also want to thank both of you for what you all are doing, because you all have also found a purpose in your lives, which
True.
is to find the purpose in others.
Yeah. Correct.
and scale it up and give it up. I tell people that there is some people tell me there are 20 people and they're running. Oh, where is the scalability? All these people, everybody wants scale and everybody wants leverage and all this American P language everybody likes to talk. So I tell them it doesn't matter, because that guy is 84 years old and he's running a half marathon. In his entire circle of influence, he is somebody whom people look up to, and because of him, somebody will run a 5K someday somewhere.
True. Yeah.
Mm.
Correct? In
Yeah.
his way. So
Yeah.
what the podcast that you're doing acts in the same way. It acts as a lever. It takes people like us and leverages us and gives us, virality to whatever extent it can happen. And it's commendable work you all are doing. Thank you for having me here.
Most
Thank
welcome.
you
And
so
thank
much.
you
Have
so
a
Thank you.
much.
great day and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.